What's going on, hockey fans? Another Thursday night, or whenever you're watching this show, another Power Rankings coming at you. The second Power Rankings of the season. The Dan K Show presents the most watched show in junior hockey's most watched piece of content. We have 10 elite teams to rank tonight, 20 premier teams. But before we get to that, we have two games in our Dan K Show Cup Series behind us. And Lucas, the Bold City Battalion take the Military Cup this past weekend. The Florida Eels, the second consecutive year they sweep in the Elite and Premier Florida Cup and win that trophy. And congratulations to those teams. But as I introduced in my right-hand man, my consigliere Montfrere for another mayor, Lucas Jones, we kind of talked about this on the drive when I was dropping you off at the Jacksonville airport to fly your way back to Jersey. Just where this all started 3 years ago, this Dan K Show Cup Series, when we went to a meeting full of a lot of hockey people and great hockey minds. And just about everyone told us, nobody will have interest in these cup games. Don't do it. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of resources. Let's just play hockey. The national championship's the national championship. And I do want to give major props to the first adopter of this cup series, Jay Witta, and the Minnesota Blue Hawks, Lucas, because we had a chance to do that Axe game 3 years ago. This will be the third season of the Axe game coming up this January at Fogarty Arena as the Moose take on the Blue Hawks. It's a 1-1 series right now overall. But we had a chance to kind of take that on and show the concept of what we believed in that Cup Series. And Jay was a guy who, one of the best marketing minds on the planet Earth right now, and just a guy who took this, ran with it, and gave us a chance to really grow this idea and show it off to the rest of the world. And now we've got over 10 Cup games.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, that's what I think it comes down to, right? It is this thing that, started with just an idea that we had, and now we're at a point where a lot of teams are asking for it, right? And isn't that how it usually goes, right? You need one person to start something. You need one person to commit to an idea and get it from the page onto the ice, and then everyone sees how cool it is and how attainable it is. It's not that hard to have your own Cup Series. You just got to put in a little bit of effort, a little bit of planning, but the reward is multiples of what that effort is.
Yeah, and look at Frank Scarpacci. Look at what he's done with the Florida Cup. You have four different teams coming into town. You've got a tournament mid-season. It's exciting, right? You're playing the same teams in your division day in and day out. Look at what Toledo and Metro have done, taking on this Coney Cup that we go up and do each and every year. Kenny Miller and Justin Quenville, guys that bought in. Pete Kamick, the owner of that Metro Jets team. These guys, these are all these minds that we love a chance to work with. We get a chance now to go to Bold City and check out this new Jacksonville building, a building that's part owned by Tim Tebow of all people. And just the excitement of working with Rhett Vossler and Jacob Smolovich this weekend, two young coaches with really, really bright futures in this game of hockey. So much more to come. Next up on the docket for us, we head to Nashville and Metro. It's not a cup game yet, but don't tell me. I might think of something by the time we get out there. But our next Dan K Show Cup Series game, the Carolina Cup, coming up outdoors at Truist Park 2 weekends from now, Saturday the 18th, I believe it is. Don't quote me on it. We'll start promoting that thing soon here this week. Lucas, though, talk about Cup games. We love the Cup games. We love getting that behind us. And the Cup games allow us to have a little more insight into the Power Rankings. And that's where we go. It's time to start the Elite. Lucas, are you ready?
Dan, I am ready.
We start at number 10. Let's take a look at the PAL Junior Islanders. You got a friend in me. Do you want me to break out Randy Newman for this one, Lucas? I know you do not, but the PAL Junior Islanders at number 10 in the Elite Power Rankings.
Well, the PAL Junior Islanders right now, they're rocking a plus 14 goal differential, which is pretty good, right? You look at what that Atlantic Division has to offer, and it offers a lot of competition. They win games both in and out of that division. Wins against the Junior Bruins, the Islanders Hockey Club, the Elmira Enforcers, the Jersey Hitmen. They've even got an overtime win against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. So they are winning games both in their division, out of their division. And PAL right now, on the Elite, Premier, and NCDC levels, continuing to be a powerhouse.
Yeah, and you look at this PAL team, this is the second month in a row that they're in these Elite Power Rankings. They had never cracked it before in the team's history at this level. Justin Morrissey with 22 points on the year in 15 games played. Bobby Trites with 8 and 11. Lucas Lewin was a player I really like getting a chance to watch. Creative, good with the hands, young skater at a 2006 birth year. Alongside him, Benjamin Biniamin. I like the way this team looks right now in PAL. Michael Ragusio and Christopher Lucente, they've got those two netminders you talk about at this elite level. You need two. You need two guys that can spell one another. Christopher Lucente, 8 and 3 on the season, 11 starts, a 9.23. He's got a shutout. He's got over 345 saves this season. An incredible start to the year for him. And a PAL team that I think deserves this 10 spot. They keep themselves there. We move to number 9. This is a team, kind of the trend here on the back end is dropping back not because of horrific play, but dropping back because of just some really good play in their divisions. Hampton Roads drops back 2 spots to number 9 this month.
Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well, Dan. Kind of a split month for them, right? And those months will happen for teams all across the country where you've got some wins under your belt. The Junior Bruins, Bolt City, the Atlanta Mad Hatters, the Rush, Potomac, but then some losses as well. The Eels splitting those series with the Rush and the Potomac, 2 losses to the Junior Canes. When you have good wins and good losses, you're never going to drop outside of the top 10, but other teams who've had better months might leapfrog you.
Yeah, and you look, it's really goal scoring that's missing right now, right? In net, they're getting plenty. They're getting plenty out of Jean Bethauden and Janet Kennedy. These two are combining for a zillion stops. They're keeping them in every game. They're playing low-scoring games when they're winning. Tarek Filipuzzi right now, your leading point getter with 10. Your defenseman Hudson Hinich leading all the blue line with 5 goals and 2 assists. You've only got one guy in double-digit points right now, right? So you're playing low-scoring games. There's nothing wrong with that. The college game, when you get to the next level, it's a low-scoring game. It's a game where defense is going to win championships, right? But this Hampton Roads team, always a tough schedule ahead of them. We take a look at the month of November. They've got Richmond and they've got Carolina, so kind of a light month. They get 2 weeks off at the end of the month of November, so they'll get a chance to heal after that Carolina series against a really good team we'll talk about later in these power rankings. Big matchup with Richmond this weekend. That's a team you got to get 2 from. You talk about playoff positioning. Only 4 make it to the USPHL Southeast playoffs in the Elite and Premier. Every point matters. We move to number 8. This team was number 8 last month. They're number 8 this month. A really, really strong month. Coach Wags has to be happy with his bunch on a huge winning streak. And the only thing keeping them from moving up right now is a ceiling called Wilkes-Barre, the Rockets Hockey Club at number 8.
Rockets have had themselves a good month. They have a good overall record. They got 22 points, a plus 35 goal differential. I mean, come on, right? You've got goals out the wazoo right now. 69 goals for, 34 goals against. Some pretty good wins as well. Connecticut Junior Rangers, Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights, Boston Junior Bruins. But again, you talk about some of the losses that might be hindering them. It's 2 losses against the Wilkes-Barre Knights and a loss against the Islanders Hockey Club, a team that always plays tough. So I think for the Rockets right now, things are looking great. That team is in great shape. We're expecting big things out of them next month.
Yeah, and then how about their leading scorer and the leading scorer in the entire elite, John Crodell? This young man makes a move up to the Premier, and in his first game up there, scores a game winner in overtime. That's how good this elite team's going to be. So the question is going to be, who's going to be there at the end of the road, right? Is Crodell and Lombardo, are they still going to be down with this elite side come the postseason? Might they move up somewhere along the year and be playing Premier hockey? That's a big question for these guys. If you've got Crodell and Lombardo down the stretch, they can beat anybody on any given day. Joseph Already in net. 10 starts, he's 8 and 2, 9.44 saves percentage. We saw one of his losses. What a fluke game, right? That IC game, it was supposed to start at 8:30. Glass breaks on the rink for the second time of the day. They start about 9:30 at night. Guys are a little tired. Warm up, leave the ice, let them clean the glass up, come back on the ice. Still puts up a great performance. Loses 2-1 in that one. So one of his 2 losses is a really tough game. So he's really 8-1 in my mind, right? He's got a 9.44 saves percentage. This Rockets team, good month ahead of him of games. They play Pal, who's ranked just behind him at 10. They play Wilkes-Barre, who we'll talk about in a bit. They play Connecticut. They play Jersey. They play Pal. If they come out 5-0 out of this month, they're moving way up the list. If they come out 3-2, 4-1, they got no problem staying in the top 10. Let's go to number 7 now, the Tampa Bay Juniors. Lucas, I had the Rockets at 7. You had Tampa at 8. You flip-flopped them. You said you had Tampa at 7, Rockets at 8. Talk to me a little bit about that and a little bit about why we should leave Tampa in the top 10 when we were robbed of a golf championship by a bunch of liars at their golf tournament.
No, come on now. It was a fun. We had a good time. We get very competitive. We were very proud of our 12 under, but we look at this Tampa Bay team and you like the construction of the team, right? You like where the roster's at. Plus 33 goal differential. Look at that defense right now, Dan. The defense, 27 goals allowed is a huge number for me. I love to see that. Wins against the Infantry, Richmond, against the Eels and Bold City as well. The losses right now coming against very, very good teams. The Rush, the Junior Canes, another two losses against the Eels. So, for this Tampa side, that defense is really the name of the game.
Yeah, and I look at this Tampa side. They've got a long road ahead of them on the road in the month of November. Two games up north in Jacksonville on Saturday, November 4th and Saturday, November 11th. Then the next weekend, three on the road at the Atlanta Ice House against a Mad Hatters team that has been hot of late. Atlanta at that number 11-12 spot right now, just outside looking in on the power rankings. That's going to be a tough matchup for Tampa. They're another team, just like the Rockets. A winning month out of them, they're going to skyrocket up the standings, right? They've got the opportunity in front of them. They've got the chance to go make something happen. One of the big stories with this Tampa team, you look at Dylan Heinman, 5 goals, 8 assists. Mookie Killen, one of the best names in the game, 11 points. Kevin Rossello, who in just 7 games has 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points on the year, has skated up half of his time with the Premier, half his time with the Elite, bouncing between the two levels. Just a guy who's a real versatile player who can play. He could be the top guy, he could be the dog in the locker room. He can be the guy who kind of does the yeoman's work and gets the job done. You love to watch Kevin Rossello play. That's your number 7, the Tampa Bay Juniors. We go to number 6. Talked about the ceiling for the Rockets Hockey Club, and Coach Wags has been the Wilkes Wagon. The Wilkes Wagon, the defending runners-up in the Elite at number 6.
Well, I think for Wilkes, they are a constant presence is the best way to really talk about them, right? They've beaten the Rockets 2 games, lost them 1 game. You talked about that ceiling for the Rockets. That's where it exists. Shootout win against the Hitmen, win against PAL. And, you just look at this Wilkes-Barre side, and they continue to put up goals in huge numbers. And I will say that, Dan, you look at where they sit versus the Rockets in the power rankings, that series win so far, really what's keeping Wilkes-Barre higher than the Rockets.
Yeah, and what I love about Wilkes-Barre is they're not afraid to go outside the division and challenge themselves in the Elite. Look at their first 2 games out of these power rankings on the road, Hudson, New Hampshire, against Tim Plummer, beep, 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 beep,
Boop.
and the Northern Cyclones. Saturday, November 4th and November 5th. Then they play the Hitmen on the road at the Ice Vault. Then they play the Rockets at home again. That's a big matchup. Then IHC on the road, who IHC, another team along with Atlanta, just on the outside looking into these power rankings. Then they play Crystal Beach Academy from the NAPHL, College Universelle, or of Wada, these pucks, when they're out there, these guys are blocking shots in bunches, and the Simcoe County Academy. This is a tough month of November for Wilkes-Barre coming up. They sit at number 6. This Volkswagen is a dangerous team to deal with. Dan Cage dragging his browser around the wrong way and messing things up as he looks at the stats. But Benjamin Gauthier, Ben Naples, Blake Francione, you got William Prange, you got Tyler Hamlin, Ignat Volkov, Owen Stewart. This is a team that can do it from wherever they need to on the ice. They can score the puck. They'll play a 200-foot game. You got Chase Ebier, who's 2-2 on the year. This is a tough team between the pipes. Andrew Zhang as well, who's off to a hot start with a 9.57 saves percentage. Gotta love the Wilkes Wagon. Number 5. This team, number 5 last month, number 5 this month, the Charlotte Rush.
Hold the line.
Hold, boys.
That is what the Rush have done. And, it's a bruiser of a division, the Southeast. And I think, Dan, maybe more so this year than we've seen in the past year or two with how good every single team is. The Charlotte Rush, it's the same story with them. A ton of goals, great defense, fantastic record, strong wins, including wins against Tampa Bay Juniors, Hampton Roads Whalers, Columbia Infantry, Richmond Generals. And then just a loss against the Florida Eels, really the only knock against this team right now. But it shows you how good the Southeast is when a team as good as the Charlotte Rush sits at 5 and doesn't move.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing well. The roster's there. Like, Klex in this side could win a championship tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised. Nicholas Grasso, he gets the lion's share of the starts in net alongside with Dylan Gorman. Gorman's got a 9.23 backing him up, a 1.260 goal, a 1.60 goals against average. Grasso's 6-1, 1-1. He's lost in every version of a loss, but he's got way more wins than losses, which you love. 2.95 goals against average. You look at the guys on the ice. Chucky Norris, Charles Norris, Chuck Norris, Chucky Three Sticks. This is a guy 20 points on the year, 12 goals, 8 assists. Benjamin Kluza, Tyler Tanucci, Clay Chemnitz, Josiah Martinez, Spencer Wheelbarrow full of goals, skates up and down between the two. Jarav Stavina. Like this is a dangerous team from all levels of the ice, and with how good their premier team is, we'll talk about them later in the show. You've always got to watch out. This is just a team with a lot of depth and organization that knows how to win championships. Is Charlotte going to double dip? That's the big question right now. We go to number 4. Last month they were number 4. This month they were number 4, but with a little bit more weight to them because they've got some hardware, Lucas. The Florida Cup champions, your Florida Eels.
Florida Eels once again winning that Florida Cup. It looked to be dicey this year, Dan. There was a lot of great competition at the Florida Cup, but the Eels prevail. They take home some hardware, and you can kind of see why. They're. I think the Florida Cup showed what they can do against different teams in a more tournament-like format, right? It shows what that pressure can really do. Their record kind of speaks for itself, and I think they're winning a lot of close games. They've only got a +9 goal differential. The scoring's there. The defense, I'm sure the coaching staff would love to see a few less goals go in. But when you're playing the folks like the Junior Canes, which they took a loss from, Potomac they took a loss from, but then beating the Rush, beating the Hampton Roads Whalers, beating the Tampa Bay Juniors, there's a lot to love about this Florida team.
Yeah, Nate Haas leading the way in net. He's seen 229 shots on the year. He's 6-1 between the pipes. We love the Haas family, the work they've put in to help grow this Florida Eels program as well this year, along with Frank Scarpacci and the Scarpacci family. And the guy I want to talk about, he's not going to show up at the top of the points list. It's a 2007 birth year that I think should be drafted into an NCDC program next season, in Nikita Shevyev. Defenseman, 4 goals, 3 assists on the year, 2007 birth year. This young man who's a rookie is just doing things right now in Florida. I got a chance to just watch day 1 of the Florida Cup. Sit down and just watch some elite hockey. And getting a chance to watch Shevyev do his thing was just a stellar watch. The guy does the right thing with the puck. He's smart. He's speedy. And one of the notes I took about him is that his brain is thinking faster than the game's playing right now at the level he's at, right? He's thinking above an elite level. So there's some passes he's making that might not be connecting solely just because the game's not there yet, because he's got a lot of young guys who are learning the game as well. This guy is a step ahead of the rest right now. I love what Shevyev's doing. You got to love Teddy Fang as well. 6 goals, 4 assists. 10 points for the young man, the centerman right there. He's tough to deal with. You got Bukakis, you got Finn O'Neill, Zane Haddon-Harris, the Haddon-Harris family. Just another Haddon-Harris out there dominating on the ice. You got to love it for Florida. Let's go to number 3. This team drops back 1 spot this month, not because of their play, but because of someone we'll talk about in a moment, the Potomac Patriots at number 3.
Well, we go back to this Southeast Division here, right? And Potomac, 83 goals for is just an insane number. And when you look at what the Rush do with 81 goals, you're seeing that the Southeast is sitting pretty comfortably around that 80-goal mark. A mark that not a lot of other teams in the USPHL Elite are hitting right now. So Potomac scoring a ton of goals, not letting a bunch of goals in. Some good wins as well. I mean, all these teams in the top 5 have good wins. Richmond, College Universal, Atlanta Mad Hatters, Bold City. And I just got to feel like here, Dan, that the Potomac Patriots at the elite level are pretty much a wrecking ball, willing to go through anyone in their way.
Yeah, they play Columbia 4 times this month, so some chances there for them. They've got the Charlotte Rush on the road. They do not play a home game in November. They are on the road for the entire month of November. This team is going to be heavily tested. Antonio Vaccaro in net, 5-0. The question is, will he lose this year? 1.79 goals against, 9.38 saves percentage. He has a shutout on the year. They're going to be the Road Warriors this month if they come out with a winning record. If you go on the road 6 times and you win 4 or 5 against Columbia and Charlotte, you're coming back the victors right there. Then you talk about Golubev, the defenseman with 26 points, more than any other defenseman in the country. Liam Hanna. This isn't Jack Hanna and his wild animals. This is Liam Hanna and his wild goal scoring. 17 goals on the year, 15 assists, 32 points. Dominic Georgievis, Georgievich 11 and 18, Noah Ribeiro, Taras Korchenko. They've also got a broadcaster of the year back there in Justin Richards, just doing his thing, tearing it up on the microphone. We love getting a chance to listen to Potomac games. Potomac at number 3. We go to number 2. They're back towards the top again. The Northern Cyclones, Tim Plummer. Get it? He's a plumber, like Mario. Super Mario. It's a me, Tim Plummer. What do you got for me?
Oh, well, hopefully something better than that accent firing through here. But
It's a Mario
yeah,
accent.
dude, just that's the Mario accent. You can thank Chris Pratt and the folks who made the new Mario movie that now you can just talk like any person and just be anybody, right? That's where we're at. But the Northern Cyclones, I mean, look, we kind of tell everyone every year, right? Yes, the Northern Cyclones, they may start a little later than some other teams, but you know what? The Northern Cyclones are good. They're great. They're grand. As Dan K would say, they're wonderful. 44 goals for, 17 goals against. They are playing lockdown defense against some stellar offenses. The Islanders Hockey Club, Connecticut Junior Rangers, the Junior Bruins, the Springfield Picks. Their only loss coming in a shootout. We don't count those on the Dan K show. So, and for the Northern Cyclones, no, we don't.
I count him.
We do not count them. Northern Cyclones are great. They deserve to be here.
This month will be a regular murderer's row for this Northern Cyclones team. Just a lot of tough hockey to be played. They're welcoming in the Wilkes-Wagon for 2 days. Then they play IHC on the road. Then they're back home for a Picks team that's the only team to give them a blemish on the record this year. And what an electric call. And then the Junior Bruins on the road. Goal. And then CSJV Blackfees, Ottawa Valley Wolves, College Universal. They play a little bit of everyone this year. And I will be absolutely excited for that Springfield game. It'll be very exciting to watch, Lucas.
You sound excited.
Yeah, I do, right? That's how you sound excited when you call a game. That's how you should sound. And we go to, like, you look at this, you look at the roster right now for this Northern Cyclones team and Timmy Plums. You got Noah Malcolm leading the way. Malcolm's in the middle of this whole thing, right? You know, that's what I'm saying. That's a pretty good joke right there. 14 points, 7 goals, 7 assists. Matthew Taylor. You know, this guy's Tim the Toolman Taylor, but it's Matthew the Toolman Taylor because he's got all the tools to get things done. A right defenseman. Talk about a Cyclones player, Cyclones dream, a defender who can score the puck and play defense as well. 7 power play points for him this year, 14 total. Adam Kulik, 6 and 6 for 12 at the centerman position. Nick Nardone, Ethan Kuhn, Cohen Peterson, Ian Fries, or Fries. I got to learn it. I haven't called a game yet for him. Whenever I say your name wrong, it means I haven't called your game yet. That means we got to get in the Northern Cyclones game. We'll get in the air pretty soon with him. Corey Girard, you got a big bunch of players coming at you. Michael Anstey in net, though. This is the story I've been waiting to talk about. This is the sole reason in my mind why they've made it as high as number 2 in Northern. This young man has played 15 times in net with a chance to tally a victory in the regular season in elite hockey. He has won all 15. If we look at the postseason, he got one postseason start in his career last year. He won that as well. So he is 16-0 as a goaltender, 16-0 as a goaltender, has never lost in his elite playing career. He's got a .946 saves percentage, a .125 goals against, and he is an absolute problem. He is problematic for teams trying to score the puck nationwide. Year 2004 birth year. This kid's a veteran and knows what to do in the big moments. Gotta love Michael Anstey. Let's go to number 1. They broke the record last month for the most months at number 1 in the power rankings, making it through a whole season and 1 month. They stay at the top. It feels like they just can never leave this perch. It feels like history will repeat itself. It feels like another hurricane warning is being put out for the city of Utica, New York. The Carolina Junior Hurricanes. Will Brad Gaylord ever lose a game? I think they have 1 loss in the season, Lucas. Is that where we're at right now with these guys? Oh, my, it's just crazy how good they are.
Dan, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, ask it.
What is better than an 11-game win streak?
12.
That's it. A 12-game win streak for the Carolina Junior Canes. Great work, Dan K. Right on target with that. 16-1, 0-0 in the season, 80 goals for, 28 goals against. 17 games, they've given up 28 goals. That's less than 2 goals a game. That's absurd. They're beating everybody. Right now, for the Carolina Junior Canes, the only thing they're saying is who's next, because
Yep.
that's who's going to lose.
It's stupid. It's insane. I love it, but it's also like, I mean, how good are they going to be?
They
They play
can't keep getting
Charlotte.
away with it, and then they do.
Yeah, they play Charlotte this month twice, so that's going to be exciting to see. They play Charlotte at home, and then they're playing at Truist Field Stadium in the outdoor game with the Dan K Show on the call Saturday, November 18th. Sandwiched in the middle of that, two games against the top 10 Hampton Roads team. It's going to be a tough month, but I mean, what's tough anymore with this Carolina team? It's insane. It's just watching these guys day in and day out. Look at the netminders: Ryan Kalina, Anthony Trantis, Pavel Matuinin. Matuinin has a 2.14 goals against. He's 4-0. Trantis 6-0, a 919, a 1.58 goals against. Kalina a 1.29, 924 saves percentage with four shutouts already on the season. Funky, cool Kalina is what we're calling him on the Dan K Show. Anthony Trantis has been absolutely stellar. Carter Radasta, 24 points on the year. Nathan Rhodes, Giancarlo, like you got Maxwell Sullivan, Zachary Rich, just riches of absolute ability on this team. Jackson Furlock, Colby Markham, Gregory Harder, who won an Ultimate Team card to start the season off with a hat trick. Luke Moses, Nicholas Miskowski, Chris Cuddy, man. Like Andrew Timney, it goes down the list forever. You could talk about everybody on this roster, and you can't forget about Leo McCusker. This is an old school, bring the lunch pail to work, play defense, and do the little things guy. Liam McCusker is a leader on this team and a guy who's going to make a college somewhere really happy at the end of this year if he decides to go. Like he's got the look of a lumberjack, the feel of a strongman competition guy, and the capability of just a shutdown defender. Love watching Liam McCusker play. You just this whole roster, you can't go wrong. This is the clear cut number one until somebody proves us wrong. Carolina is the most number one of all the number ones we've ever number one.
Could they be even better than last year's greatest elite team ever assembled? I guess we're going to find out, Dan.
We'll find out. Let's find out the top 20 in the Premier coming up next after a quick break here live from the Power Rankings. Welcome back, hockey fans. We've got 20 of the best teams in the USPHL Premier to rank. And before we started, Lucas, we got to say thank you to Teresa Kiyowasu, the former Florida Eel Kiwi, as we knew him, Damon. This young man goes to college and got his first 3 goals this weekend. She wanted to reach out to us, Lucas, and instead of having an empty net this week in such a long show, we want to give her kind of this middle portion. She thanked us for just all we screamed about with Kiwi. She said, you guys kept talking about him. You kept talking about him. You said you wouldn't rest until he got a college commitment. Now that young man's off in college and just putting up points in numbers as we knew he would. Kiwi, congratulations.
Yeah, it's awesome news, right? Continuing to play hockey is always the goal, and for a guy like that, you can see why. Immediately impact. So we love to hear the great news. So thank you for reaching out and letting us know.
And if you have a player we should talk about, reach out to us as well. We want to make sure that we're covering all the best players from the best league in all the land, in our opinion. The USPHL, let's talk Premier Hockey at number 20. The first time this squad has cracked the power rankings in its history. We had a bunch of firsts last month. We've got a first this month at number 20, the Bakersfield Roughnecks.
The Roughnecks are playing good hockey right now. I mean, they're playing good defense, right? They have a plus 33 goal differential. They have a series win against Lake Tahoe, 2 wins, 1 loss. They didn't take the series against Vegas, but getting that 1 win super important because there's some regulation and some shootout that's mixed in there as well. So I like the wins against Ontario and San Diego as well. For this Bakersfield side, they deserve to be in the top 20.
You look at Adrian Gomez and Francois Xavier Maroy. This is 25 points for him, 23 for Gomez. Theo Faucher with 20. David Dumasnil with 16. And then you go in net and you look for another Dumasnil in Connor. This guy, one of the best performing netminders in the country right now. 6-0, a 1.17 goals against, a 9.67 saves percentage. Dumasnil has been one of the best on planet USPHL. It's a team that played a bunch of games and won a bunch of games this past month. Coming up, the big series. They've got to play a Fresno Monster team 3 times this weekend at home in their own building. That's going to be what decides whether they stay in these power rankings or whether this is a one and done for this Bakersfield side in their first ever time getting ranked. Congratulations to the Bakersfield Roughnecks, number 20 in the nation in the USPHL Premier. At number 19, this team not at all, they've never not been in the top 20 in the power rankings, never not been in the top 10, but they dropped back 11 spots here, Lucas, after a tough loss to Bold City, the Tampa Bay Juniors at 19.
Yeah, you kind of expect that the Tampa Bay Juniors, continue to kind of march ahead. They do suffer a couple of losses: Potomac, Junior Canes, 2 to the Eels, 1 to Bold City. And I think the fact that their goal differential right now sits at a -7 also hurts the cause a little bit. You need that defense to kind of stack up a little bit more. We talked about that last month, right? That the defense wasn't quite there. So we'll see what November brings.
Yeah, you're expecting more to Azevedo as the year goes on. He's played 8 games, got 8 points. Ethan Dominy, 16. Ty Patefield. Big question is going to be what's the net going to look like, right? They've dealt with some injuries between the pipes, so the stats haven't been where they want them to be. They were a little thin. The Florida Cup, they had to go to an emergency backup due to 2 injuries in 2 days. So it just comes down to is the injury bug going to continue to bite, or will Tampa find its way? We'll have to keep watching to find that one out. We go to number 18, sorry, I jumped up 11 spots myself. Let's jump up 1 spot to 18, the way math works. The Wisconsin Rapids River Kings. Paul Peckman and his River Kings cracked the top 10 for the top 20 for the first time this season.
You want to talk about a team that doesn't have any issues with defense. It's the River Kings, right? It's 23 goals allowed. They have twice that in goals for at 46. Wins against PAL, Brooklyn, the Rockets, the Mullets, the Blades. I just think that this River Kings side is playing good, solid, fundamental, physical hockey, and I love to see it.
Yeah, you love to watch this team play, and you're going to get a chance to watch them a little this month. They have a lot of hockey to play. 2 on the road against the Blue Hawks. They immediately get tested. A Blue Hawks team we'll talk about in just a moment. The Dells Ducks, they've got twice at home. Chicago, Fort Wayne, Toledo, Metro Jets development program over a 4-day span at the showcase in Michigan there, hosted by the Metro Jets. That's going to be a tough one. Zoran Varga, the guy makes the move over from Potomac, already making his mark with 15 points. David Simi, you got Matthew Hill, Bryce Cooper, Owen Tudich, Owen Atkins, Dan Cave fighting off a sneeze there and keeping it away from him. And there's nothing boring about Bora Yildirim. Yildirim is absolutely dominating between the pipes. 4-1, a 9.68 saves percentage, a 1.18 goals against on 185 shots faced in 5 games. This kid is that good. 2 shutouts. That is big time numbers. Bora Yildirim might just be one of the best performing netminders in the country right now. Let's go to number 17. Same division, different team, Hudson Havoc.
Well, I think for Hudson, it kind of felt like a little bit of a toss-up between these two, right? You look at the Hudson team that took the Spartans to a 1-goal game, that split a series with the Squatch, that beat the Moose, lost the Blue Ox. So, you kind of feel like it's a toss-up between these two, especially in the same division. Maybe the Havoc edged them out a little more just in the winning column. But, you look at it and you say this November's going to be huge for both of these teams.
17 Hudson Havoc, 18 Wisconsin Rapids River Kings. Bring back the Cheese Curd Cup. Our first ever cup game. Bring it back, boys. We haven't done it since the first one happened years ago. I don't even know where the Cheese Curd Cup ended up. It might be somewhere in Cheese Curd heaven.
Hopefully
right now.
They got all the cheese curds out of it before they.
We definitely got all the cheese curds out. It was definitely cleaned after the fact. But let's bring back the Cheese Curd Cup. Come on, Hudson. Come on, Wisconsin. Reach on out. Evan Luxford is the story for Hudson. This young man, one of the best skaters on the planet right now. 17 points for him, 11 goals, 6 assists. He's a year 2005 birth year, so a younger guy with a few more years left behind in front of him here in the game. Really doing some work. He had a hat trick against Dells. He had a goal against Minnesota Squatch and a point on the 28th. He's a young man that can get things done against some of the big opponents. Luxford is a luxury to have skating around for you. Let's go to number 16. Major Tom to ground control. Stepping through the door. Fort Wayne Spaceman.
Fort Wayne at the
The most you have.
Fort Wayne's at the top of the division right now. I like the way that they're playing on the offensive side, certainly. 78 goals for, it's a huge number. Big wins against Motor City, Battle Creek, MJDP, the Crush. They're battling in close games, Dan. They're winning in big margin games. They're kind of doing it all right now.
Look, and here I am sitting in a tin can, all right, watching this thing go. You've got the Decatur Blaze coming up with 2 for Fort Wayne. Then the schedule gets tough. Toledo twice, on the road, a little home and home with them, on the road and at home. Then Hudson, Squatch, Moose, River Kings. If Fort Wayne comes out 500, they probably stay within the top 20. That's how tough the schedule they've got coming up after those 2 Decatur Blaze games. This is a tough schedule in the month of November for this side in Fort Wayne. I'm excited to see it. This Spacemen side, they don't have a lot of the familiar faces that they had on that team last year. That was the Space Train that was making things happen. But Alexis Toussaint is immediately making his presence felt. 23 points. Hunter Morgan with 17. Jackson Cothran, he's got 16. Fisher Moore, Oscar Axelson. You got to love this team. And Thomas Cheney as well. Noah Takatani back for another year. Maxim Zinchenko, good start for him in net at a 9.23. That is where Fort Wayne sits. Let's go to number 15. The Minnesota Blue Ox, the third representative from the Midwest West that cracked the top 20.
Yeah, in the Midwest West, we're going to just remind y'all that there's a bit of a curse situation, and the best way to break that curse, figure it out amongst yourselves, right? You've got to win the games when you go to war over the weekend. But for the Blue Ox, playing solidly on the offensive side, defensive side, what else is new for the Blue Ox, right? It's a fundamentally strong hockey team that knows how to win games. They've won good ones against the Mullets, Ice Sandy, the Crush, the Hudson Havoc. So I think for the Blue Ox right now, they're in a good spot to keep playing Blue Ox hockey.
Yeah, and if I'm a Blue Ox fan, I'm never let go my Abrego, right? Mike Abrego is just that good. This guy is never waffling when he's got a chance to get the puck to someone to score it. 11 assists on the year. Tommy Babb, Carl Graffelman, Riley Lubers, who makes the move over to them, Dylan Smith, Arseny Malutin. This is a good squad right here. Net mining is going to be where the answers have to come from. How about Eli Marchese? This kid in 2.42 goals against, a 9.12 saves percentage. He's been an ultimate team card. Talk about a tough month. How about this one? 2 against the River Kings, Squatch, Hudson Havoc, MJDP. Hershey Cubs were having a great season. They were 20th overall last month. They were 22 in our rankings this month, 21st with Atlanta. Just both of those two just outside of the top 20. Battle Creek Colonels and Tristan Jensen. Then the Elmira Impact. This team has all of it to deal with over the next couple weeks here in November. We will see how Minnesota comes out of that one. Number 14, the Wilkes Wagon, cracking the top 20 in the Premier, the top 10 in the Elite. Yet another month, Wilkes-Barre always seems to have both teams in the top.
Well, they tend to do that, right? And for the Knights, again, it's a similar story to what it's been in the past. They're putting up a lot of points. They're securing a lot of points from their games, right? 22 points in the season, beating the Rockets, the Hitmen, PAL Junior Islanders. Their only losses coming from the Connecticut Junior Rangers and a shootout loss to PAL. So for Wilkes-Barre, I think another good start to the season. They're right back on track.
Yeah, and the big addition, they trade for Galvin Regan from the Battle Creek Colonels, who I love to watch play netminder. This kid sees lots of shots and stops more of them. Patrick Johansson already having a great start to the season, 9.44 saves percentage, a 1.62 goals percentage, goals against average. Dan K, wake up, baby. Let's use the words here. But no, you look at this Volkswagen team, tough team to deal with. AJ Sade just sashaying to the net for points all day long. Number 13, we go to the Metro Jets development program as a sprinkler just turned on and started turning the wrong way and spraying the side of my apartment.
It's just chaos over there, Dan.
What's going on out there, Lucas?
Well, let's look at the Metro Jets development program while you kind of reining yourself in over there. MJDP, I think it's been a good month for them here. You kind of look at what they've been able to do in terms of play on the defensive side. The defense is very good. They have that win against Metro. Yes, they've split the series on the month 1-1, but beating that Metro side is a good indication of how good this MJDP team is.
Yeah, and that Metro win, good for them. And you want to talk about scheduling, right? Like you can look at junior hockey in a couple ways. You can look at it as it's all about going 44-0 if we can. Let's make the easiest schedule possible and just go run over opponents. Or you can challenge yourself, right?
Yep.
You can go play the big dogs every chance you get. Metro does that in the development program. They do that at the Metro Jets level. They try to play everybody they possibly can. They travel to every showcase they're allowed to. They put the money in. They invest it. And now putting themselves up against each other. I know Q never wanted to do that. Justin Quenville, because he's got to work with all these guys, right? And their
Right.
coaching staff's kind of split between all these teams. You don't want these guys. You don't want to create animosity if you can avoid it. You want these guys to work together. It's the development is in the name. They want to develop these players. To watch MJDP put this all together, have my boy Scotty Sturge working there, baby. How about the first NCAA win for him? Congrats, Sturgey. And you got Austin Muirhead, 1.20 goals against, a 9.48 saves percentage. Andrew Parmentier, 9.44 saves percentage. If you're playing goalie in Metro, you're probably unrealistic. Royal St. Cyr, and unrealistic is a good thing. He's just unstoppable. Robert Grasso, Oliver McClough, like River Lewis. It's a good team. Lucas Milmine, you Jacques Laverack at the left defenseman. You know that Matt Prier loves saying that name. Let's go to number 12. The Utica Junior Comets. This team drops back. They were the highest up they'd ever been last month. Back down to 12. Talk to me about Utica.
I think for Utica, it's kind of a combined situation, right? A couple of tough losses, right? PAL, South Shore Kings, Junior Bruins, Northern Cyclones, good teams, but you still want to see some wins come out of those, right? And you look at some of the wins, the Picks, the Hitmen, the Rockets, South Shore Kings, one win against Northern, which always helps to offset that loss. But again, I think it's a combination of they were good, not stellar, and other teams were better. But I really, really like this Utica team. I don't have any lack of confidence in them at all.
Yeah, much like their NCDC team, I like their net minding. Camden Widgington is really good. 9.34 saves percentage right now for them. Jake Hall, Trevin Erie, Joey DeMiglio, Issa Murakami. You talk about Joshua Gregor. Like, this is a good team. This is a squad that's going to be deep. Don't be surprised if Utica is playing in Utica come the end of the season. That would be a pretty good home ice advantage, Lucas, to be able to play almost like this playing the Super Bowl in Tampa when you were the Buccaneers with Tom Brady.
Yep,
Utica might get the host themselves at their own national championship.
that'd be pretty cool. Nothing like a little home series for nationals.
That is right. And a team that's pretty good at home themselves, how about Squatch Out? It's the Minnesota Squatch at number 11. Last month they were at 9. This month they moved to the 11 spot here, dropped 2 spots in the rankings. How about the Squatch?
Well, Squatch continue to be Squatch, right? They continue to be an offensive juggernaut right now. They could be the first team to eclipse that 100 goals for. They're at 97 right now. Their goal differential is higher than some teams' entire offense right now, plus 70. Losses against the Havoc and the Blades this month set them back just a bit, but I expect a pretty quick rebound from these guys.
Yeah, they play the Moose twice this month. They play the Blue Ox. They play the Mullets. They play the Metro Jets. They play the Fort Wayne Spacemen. They play Toledo this month. They've got a tough schedule ahead of them. And the biggest problem they had last year, they had performances where you went, my gosh, this is the best team in the Midwest West. They had performance where you went, my gosh, where did that team go?
Hmm.
Right? And you just need a full 60 out of them in those big games. Jay Ellingson, though, 39 points in the year, 27 assists. Cannon Bonifay, boom! Cannon Bonifay right there. Johan Karjalainen, 25 points for the big man. Jacob Rude, nothing. This guy's polite off the ice, but certainly not on it. He's making things happen at the defenseman position, 5 and 15. This is a really good Squatch team. Trevor Roy in net, 9.23 saves percentage, 2.33. I like this Squatch side. They are the number one team in the Midwest West as of now, according to our power rankings. And let's go to number 10 to the number one team in the Pacific Division, according to our power rankings. Only have played 6 games so far, but they've won every single one of them. 6-0, the Fresno Monsters.
Yeah, this Fresno team, we talked about Northern in the Elite as a team that started a little bit later, but watch out when they get going. The Fresno Monsters, they've only played 6 games so far, but in those 6 games, they scored 42 goals. That's 7 goals a game. They've given up 13. That's just over 2 goals given up. 3 wins against Vegas, 3 wins against Seattle. Fresno picking up right where they left off.
Noak Persson has 53 goals, 63 assists for 116 career points in the Premier. I'm going to tell you by the end of this season, I think he will be at 200 career points.
Yep.
I think that is where Noak Pearson's going to end up this season. He's that good. Fresno starts this month against Bakersfield, a top 20 team, so they can immediately just really show their supremacy in the Pacific Division. Fresno, I think, is the clear number one in the Pacific. I think that there's no question. I wouldn't be surprised if Fresno won 40 games this year. Let me put that out there. That's how good I think this Monsters team is. I know I've put a little bit of the target on them right now, but this is going to be a fun team to watch all season long. Let's go to number 9, and holy Toledo! The Cherokee are back in the top 10.
You kind of felt like the Cherokee were going to work their way back up there, right? And they do it the way the Cherokee tend to do it. It's by winning games, with authority, right? That's kind of the way they do things. They have wins against Metro, the Cougars, the Stampede, the Cyclones. I think that split with Metro, you don't knock them for that because that's kind of how it goes when Toledo plays Metro, right? They tend to split every once in a while, but great offense, lockdown defense. This Toledo team, they have a shot to really go far here.
Last month I said the question for Toledo is in the net. Still have the same question, right? Who's going to be the guy? Who's going to step up and take on the role? Frank Murphy last year was the best netminder in the country. Frank Murphy last year plays so well that he moves up to the NCDC, gets an opportunity in this Cradle to College mantra, the USPHL, to go play Tier 2 tuition-free hockey in the National Collegiate Development Conference for the Islanders Hockey Club. He is unbeatable right now up there. Can't be beaten. The guy is dominating in the NCDC. But you need in Toledo, you need that Frank Murphy guy. You need that guy to step up in net. You're going to see too many shots against the Metros of the world. The schedule coming up, going to showcases, traveling around the country. You need to stop the puck. That's going to be the question. They're both netminders are capable right now, right? You look at these two guys in net. You got Nowak and you got Krill. These guys can put up the numbers. These guys can get the job done. I know what both of these guys have in them. And I can guarantee you Kenny Miller's saying the same thing right now. He's like, let's go, boys. Let's get it done this month. I think the month of November, watch out for some stellar net mining from these two. Aiden Gonzalez, Jacob Amar. The whole crew is going to be scoring in front of them. Number 8, Mike Stanaway and his Connecticut Junior Rangers drop one spot from last month to the 8th spot this month.
And there's going to be some shuffling, right? Pretty much in this Premier top 20, you're always going to see some shuffling. For the Connecticut Junior Rangers, almost identical to the Wilkes-Barre Knights. The only difference is they've beaten them, right? So that'll put them above the Wilkes-Barre Knights in terms of that. They've got a loss to the Northern Cyclones, but wins against the Whalers, River Kings, win against Northern as well. Springfield Picks with 2. So I just feel like for Connecticut, they've got that win against Wilkes-Barre. They're identical to the team. They should be a little bit higher.
What Stanaway was missing in New York with the Aviators was just his absolute shutdown net mining, right? He was getting some of it, looking for a little more of it. He's got Adrian, you ain't lighting the lamp between the pipes now. A 9.40 saves percentage, 3 shutouts, a 1.67 goals against average. He's 10-2 on the year. That's the difference. You add Marcus Andrews and Hunter Scanlon to the blue line, your 2 leading scorers are defensemen right now. If that doesn't tell you Mike Stanaway hockey, I don't know what we're doing here. Yakov Yaksin, you didn't like coaching against him because he was so good, so why don't you go recruit him? Bring him over to Connecticut. Yakov Yaksin comes over from the Rockets, and he's dominating with 18 points. Bexelius, Tanskanen, George Jacob Dupont, Blake Andreoni with the goal. This team is deep. K-Shark, the whole squad. I love watching these guys play. Let's move to number 7. Dan K scrolled himself off of the page, Lucas, and he's just hunting around for it. He's got it. Number 7. They were number 1 last month. The Nashville Spartans, and I want to talk about this. They lose 4 games at a Southeast showcase, and you'll find out why that schedule was so tough in just a moment. They lose 4 games at a showcase by a total of 4 goals to 4 top 20 teams. So, Lucas, we may have gotten chirped of, your power rankings are this, that, or the other thing. I do want to say everybody else in the power rankings fared very well, and they all played Nashville, all the teams at the top of the power rankings. So it wasn't like we were far off, and this Nashville team, I guarantee you, a chip on their shoulder from that one.
They went up, they put themselves up against the gauntlet voluntarily, right? They went and they played the juniors, the Rush, the Patriots, and the Junior Canes. Right, those would be considered, I guess, the Infinity Stones of the USPHL right now.
Yes, they are.
And those games were pretty close. Those games were well fought. That Nashville team left everything they had at that showcase. And when we talk about teams that kind of shuffle around, You see less shuffling in and out of this top area of the power rankings. But I think for Nashville, the only thing that's changed is now they maybe see what the next level is. They get that chip on their shoulder. They get themselves in a position to do so, and they're going to have a chance to prove themselves pretty quickly, Dan, with a weekend series against the Metro Jets.
They played against Tampa. We just talked about them in the top 20. They played Carolina. You haven't heard their names yet. They played Charlotte. You haven't heard their names yet. They played Potomac. You haven't heard their names yet. They went to overtime a couple times. They lost by a goal a couple times. Then they go to the Midwest. Like, why not just go to the Midwest Showcase in the same darn month and do it again and play some more tough opponents? They win a bunch there. Imkin Flynn, Ronan Keenan, Ryan Grant. This team is deep. They've got depth. They've got scoring ability. I love this squad. I think they're that good. It comes down to what it's going to look like in the net for them. Watch out for Nashville. We're going to be there November 10th, calling a game Friday night against the Metro Jets. You'll hear their name in just a moment. But before that, we talk about number 6, the Bold City Battalion.
The battalion look pretty good. Pretty good. Military Cup champs. What a great opportunity this past weekend to honor our servicemen and women, veterans, past and present, people currently serving, and a chance to see some great hockey as well, Dan. Wins against the Junior Canes, Richmond Generals, Atlanta Mad Hatters, overtime win against the Tampa Bay Juniors. There are losses to some really good teams. Potomac is one of them. And so I think for Bold City, they looked filthy this weekend.
Yeah, first time in team history, too. This is the first ever ranking. The second month of this team's existence, they're already cracking the top 10 at number 6 in the power rankings. Depth is going to be their problem right now. They got a few guys dinged up. They had a real physical series with Atlanta, a team we said is just outside the top 20. You go, Dan, they lost twice out of 3 to Atlanta. Yeah, I think that Atlanta team roster-wise is a top 20 team. I think the way they started the season is the only thing kind of keeping them from cracking the top 20 this month. I can almost guarantee you they'll be in the top 20 next month because I think they're going to win a bunch of games against some good teams this month as well in Atlanta. You look at this Bold City team, I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to make a bold prediction right now, and I'm going to bulletin board material to a couple teams in the Florida Division and some Dan K bump to the other. I would not be surprised if the two teams that go to nationals out of the USPHL Premier's Florida Division are the Bold City Battalion and the Atlanta Mad Hatters, both in upset series wins to go to nationals. That's how highly I think of this Bold City team. They play at home against Tampa this month. They got Palm Beach twice, and then they're at home against Tampa again. They've got 4 games in the month of November. Then they get a nice break for this squad, and I think they come back from that break well-rested, feeling good. Aiden Winslow is one of the most confident netminders in the planet. 9.38 saves percentage, wins that championship game at the Military Cup. Ani Taskilla, the Taskilla. This guy's got a 903 saves percentage. Great to see him back. Bold City, the real deal. Let's go to number 5, a team that we will see in a 5v7 matchup on November 10th, the Metro Jets.
Well, and the Metro Jets right now, I mean, yes, I know they've got less points than everybody else. But you know how these power rankings work, right? They're not just a rundown of the standings. Metro's defense is unreal. Absolutely otherworldly, unreal right now. It is the thing that makes other teams' offenses tremble in their boots. They've got wins against Toledo, that was a split series. Win against MJDP, that was a split series. Picking up wins in Columbus, Battle Creek, and Buffalo, but that defense, that defense is going to take them somewhere very special.
Taylor White's supposed to be the number 1, right? And he's played well. But the guy who's been unreal is Carson McKenzie. How about the Mac Man? 4-0 on the year, 3 shutouts in those 4 starts, a .50 goals against, a .969 saves percentage. Carson McKenzie has been unreal. You add guys at the front of the ice here like Hugo Lolier, Tyler Husted, Carson Red, and how about Brock Hart coming over from the Hudson Havoc, a guy that could have played Idaho Falls this year in the Tier 2 level, makes the move to Metro. D-man on the blue line and makes things happen. Mason Cole, Emmerich Froding, Alex Badanko, Tyler Botko, he's bought into the thing. Carson Finney finishing pucks. Luke Gaffney makes the move over. When the Sturge gets involved, wins start coming. And you got Q, you got Jamie Lovell, you got Tina Serralo. You bring Howie in now. You throw Howie in the bunch. You got Peter Kamek, who's my favorite owner on the planet. This Peter Kamek and I, just hitting the sticks out here in
Just
Florida,
hanging out.
living the dream. This just a bunch of guys who care, a bunch of guys and gals who care about the game, not just for men, but also the women's game over there. They hosted that Michigan State women's game. What a fun time that was, building the women's game with Tina Serralo. I love what Metro's doing, not just for the junior hockey game, but for hockey as a whole. They are building this thing. They are absolutely dominating on and off the ice. I love Metro. And the only team that we could talk about next, if we're going to talk about how much I love Metro, let's talk about another organization dominating both on and off the ice, who does things that we love, with people we love behind the scenes, and our favorite owner behind the scenes. The only difference between Peter Kamek and Frank Scarpacci is I haven't golfed with Frank Scarpacci. The Florida Eagles at number 4.
Well, the Florida Eels, Florida Cup champs, again, defending Florida Cup champs at the premier level. Their offense is pretty good right now, Dan. 78 goals for through this point in the season. Their only losses to the Junior Canes, the Rush, and the Tampa Bay Juniors in a shootout, right? So they're cleaning up the games they have to clean up. They're battling in the games they want to battle in. You give them credit as well for being one of the earlier adopters of those Cup games with the Florida Cup. So for the Florida Eels right now, I think it's right on schedule. You just keep winning these games, you keep battling close, and you keep that offense moving.
Bougen and Bell and Net, it's another year of great goaltending in Florida. You look at Noah Traven, Jared Salmon, and Devin Shepard, Maverick Krupe. Maverick Krupe, who makes the move back to the blue line to help fill in for this squad and get things done. Talk about a selfless player right there. You got Braden Goddard, Matthew Perry, Justin DeHay. You got Jacob Gobu, Dario Zitko, Adamo Dore. This roster doesn't quit. You never get a break against these guys. And we thought maybe this would be the year in the Florida Cup where they got tested, and oh boy, did they not. They just dominated yet again. This Eels team is unreal. You love to see it. Let's go to number 3. This is the highest this team has been in the Premier since September of last season. The Carolina Junior Hurricanes, number 1 in the Elite for a record-breaking, I think, 12th time in a row. Number 3 in the Premier. What a time to be a Junior Cane.
And the Junior Canes got themselves a couple of win streaks here. They've got a 7-game win streak right now. Wins against the Eels, the Juniors, the Spartans, Richmond, Hampton Roads. I mean, their only loss right now coming against Bold City. Just this
How's your good
Carolina
Bold City is?
this Carolina Junior Canes team. I mean, at both levels, just great. And yeah, it's a good point, Dan. It does show you how good Bold City is.
And you look at Caden Glamkowski, Glamous. It's glamorous Glamkowski right there, and it's a real glamour show watching this guy get a chance to play. 32 points for this young man. We've got a chance to watch him throughout his career. He's a difference maker everywhere he goes. 2 game-winning goals in the season, 7 power play points. Coronel Kybus, this guy 13 and 13 for 26. Braden Strong, Keaton Tenyes, sorry. What am I doing? Keaton Tenyes. It's been a while since I've been on the mic for you boys in Carolina. Caden Serchik, Jacob Gifford, the Galloping Gifford. This is a fun team to watch. At number 3, the Carolina Junior Hurricanes. Let's go to number 2, a team that could be number 1 if there wasn't one more squad in their way. At number 2, they were number 3 last month, number 2 this month. They move up 1 spot. The Potomac Patriots, and the best power play unit I have seen in the Premier.
Well, Carolina Junior Canes were 3rd in the Southeast, 3rd in the power rankings. Potomac Patriots, 2nd in the Southeast, 2nd in the power rankings. And it's because of that power play. It's absolutely deadly. It's unstoppable, right? That's been a huge part of where their offensive output has come from. 93 goals for, 37 goals against. I think the biggest thing that you're seeing right now, Dan, is that 37 goals against exists in that Southeast Division that is so difficult that we're talking about, right? So, but they've beaten other teams as well. They've beaten the South Shore Kings. They've beaten Bold City, Tampa Bay, Nashville, Richmond, Hampton Roads. So you look at what the Patriots are doing. You see that they're not just playing offense well, but defense well. And you look at what they've got on the power play. Really a complete squad.
Yeah, Aladar Akhtayev is great, but the real story is, as Chris Pratt would say it so eloquently, it is a me, a Martianock. And that's what it is. You look
Great
at
impression.
I did a great impression of Chris Pratt doing a bad impression of Super Mario, but the Super Martianock Bros, man. You look at Simeon and Matsvey. You look at the Martianock Bros. 44 points for Simeon, and you've got Matsvey with 32. These guys are upset when they don't have a multiple point game. That's where it's gotten to with them. That's how good they are this year. Samuel Couture, who's got an 8-0-1 record, 2.89. Then you got Martin Lukes with a 1.58 and 9.38. What Gratz, what Siegs, what Grossi have done in Potomac, what the entire ownership crew there has done, it's just so awesome to watch an organization grow the way Potomac has, building this Potomac to Pueblo pipeline and working closely with a team that we also love in the Pueblo Bulls, a team that we trust. And like to watch that grow, to watch just great people finding great people and making great things happen, just an absolute fun organization to watch grow. The Potomac Patriots at number two.
Yeah, it really is, and we've been following along on their journey, right? For as long as it feels like we've been working in the USPHL, Dan. So you love to see it on all fronts, and to have that affiliate, the tier 2 level, an affiliate that works with you, right? That answers the phone and goes above and beyond just answering the phone, right? And that's something really special.
Number one, I want to target at Blake and Brady. I want to look at you right now, and I want to tell you it took every bit of me to do this. I didn't
He's
want to.
not kidding.
I didn't want to.
No,
Just
I didn't want
because
to either.
I have to go to weddings and I get chirped by these two young brothers.
Children.
Where's your bow tie? I don't know, man. I don't have to wear one all the time. This is a wedding. I'm not on the clock. Your power rankings stink. Well, how are they now? The Charlotte Rusher number one. Let me hear that. When am I going to hear my congrats? When am I going to hear, hey, Dan K, smartest guy in the world, great power rankings this month? No, I'll probably still get chirped. Charlotte
Yeah,
Rush
I
number
feel
one.
like it's going to be. Yeah, it's about time. You finally figured it out, right? There's nothing like getting chirped by children. That is the most confusing experience probably. But there's nothing confusing about what the Charlotte Rush do. How about a bunch of wins? How about
Yep.
only wins right now? How about
Yeah.
breaking that 100 goals for mark? 32 goals against, 100 goals for Junior Blades, Eels, Spartans, Typhoon, Hampton Roads Whalers, Infantry, Richmond. Again, you really feel like it's who's going to be the first one to throw a crack in that armor.
Well, I'll tell you what, the month of November might be the chance. If anybody's going to get them, they play first on November 3rd at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the number 3 overall Carolina Junior Hurricanes on the road. Then at home, Saturday the 11th and 12th, Saturday the 11th, Sunday the 12th, they play at their home Pineville Ice House, and it's going to be rush hour. I'll tell you that much with the great Tim Dinelli on the call as they take on a 1v2 matchup. Number one in the country against number two. Potomac's only reason they're not number one, they haven't had a chance to swing at the crown of the king yet. Right? And the Rush are wearing the crown. They're sitting on the throne. And are they going to rule? Or is Potomac going to get to them? That's going to be must-see TV. Saturday 11th, Sunday the 12th, Potomac Patriots, Charlotte Rush, 1v2 in the country. Then they just go back and they play number 3 in the country again in the Carolina Junior Canes. This time on an outdoor ice rink at Truist Fieldhouse, or Truist Field Stadium, which they should turn to Truist Field Stadium Park at the ballpark in
At
Charlotte.
Truist Field.
I don't know if you need the Truist Field Stadium. I don't know if you need to call it all two things, but go ahead and do it. Love the folks in Charlotte for it. But they're playing an outdoor game. So they play the top 3 teams are all playing each other this month, and one of them's happening in an outdoor rink. What a crazy month for Charlotte. The Charlotte Rush team is that good. They are the real deal. Rocco Stoles moves over from Metro, 7-0 in the year with a 9.14. Robert Beimers and Peter Baldwin getting the job done. Baldwin with a 9.49. Beimers with a 9.29. Not a guy not stopping pucks there. Every single guy they put in the net, they can just pull it from a hat. Just go, okay, we're going to win today. Jarrett Weiser, Nick Metelkin, Zach Nichols, Easton Stafford, Peter Keese. Again, a guy that I wouldn't even pay to. I would pay a zillion to watch, right? This guy, you can watch him for free. You can watch him anytime. This is a guy that you would send. You would do anything to watch, man. Peter Keese, just an incredible defenseman. One of my favorites on the planet. Played at the Blue Ox. This guy won an axe. He won the battle for the axe, the first ever one was a key cog in that wheel there. And you know what? Something is a Bruins when you're watching him play. Carson Galen, Matthew Hammaker, Jack Day have a day every time he's on the ice. Max Contier, Carson Beatty, like Jack Cullen, who makes the move up from at the defensive line there. Owen Cross, Counter Mo Valley, Jackson Macheco. This team is good. Wesley Schweitzer no swiping. The Charlotte Rush haven't lost yet. Will they lose? That's what I ask everyone watching at home. Chime in. Will they lose a game?
Yeah, it feels like if they don't lose this month, they might never lose, Dan. And I will say this, if you want to watch some good hockey, just go ahead and lease an apartment wherever the Charlotte Rush are, but make sure that it's not a long-term lease because you never know.
Yeah, if I'm a college coach, I'm just parking in Potomac and Charlotte and Carolina for the next couple of months and watching hockey and just picking guys up. Florida and Metro, throw those two into the wash. Bold City and Nashville. You go to these teams that are winning games and you take them away. Let's go. We're moving them up, moving them up, moving them up. That's it, Lucas. Do you have any parting words for this very long power rankings other than Brady and Blake? We hope you're happy. We do, as much as we joke around, you guys are the best. We thank you guys for watching. And, you know, we're so happy to have you watching us. Anything else, Lucas? Congrats to Ryan with the win with the Fayetteville Marksman. Congrats to Kiwi with a couple of his goals to start it off. And congrats to my alma mater as the most famous alumnus and the most important person to ever walk the hallowed halls of Albertus Magnus College. It is my role to sit here and congratulate and say you're welcome. You're welcome for being involved in hockey and allowing the school to bump to the levels they have bumped to. Look, not all the credit. Not all the credit. 99%, sure. Wally's working real hard up there. Michael Koblansky, Dr. DeCarly, the entire crew up there in Albertus. Number 15 overall in the nation, baby. Number 1, we're coming for you, baby. Albertus Magnus College, guaranteed national champs by next year. Dan K on the mic. Dan K Bump. It's always hockey night. Thanks for watching.
Just in time. The landscaper started.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, the sprinkler light just turned on and fired at my window and then shut itself off in the middle of that taping. So that was fun. I thought someone was spraying a hose.
If it's supposed to be aimed at your...
It's aimed at...